Alright, so we have just finished talking about the number ranges internal and number ranges external. And we have also seen that number ranges internal takes precedence over the external number range. Alright, now what about these fields? The item number increment and sub-item increment. Sub-item increment is something that we can only understand when we talk about bill of materials. So I'm going to leave it at this point. But what about sub-item increment? Let's try and create an order of this type and start entering materials to understand what sub-item increments really mean. So here is our order type, ZMA, and we're going to start entering an order here. So even if you put it as an external number range, right, it says that you have to enter a document in between 6 zeros and then 5999. 1 2 3 1 2 3. So what this goes to show you is that irrespective of whether you use internal or external, you could still use a number range, meaning even if you want to force the users to enter numbers as in the sales order externally, you could restrict that number ranges to a particular value. In this case, we are restricting it to 02 number range, which corresponds in VN01 to a particular number range, which is 500000 until 599999. Alright, now moving on, we are right now testing this little feature called the item number increment. So go here and start entering material numbers like M01, M02, M03, so on and so forth. M02, any material is fine. The point that I want to illustrate here is, look at this item number increment. It starts with 10, then 20, 30, so on and so forth. Right? If you started with a number range increment of, let's say, 100, let me save this guy. Okay, and now let's try to create an order again and see what happens here. 1000. Then let's start entering these numbers. M01, M02. Do you see the effect of this? It says if your item number increment is X, then the items increment in that order. So let me take a screenshot here. So where are we? In the previous screen we talked about an item number ranges internal and external. Now we are going to talk about item number increment. An item number increment decides what should be the items that should be incremented in that particular order, meaning items should start incrementing by 100, 200, 300, 400, so on. If you put it as 10, it will be 10. If you put it as 15, it will start with 15 and then move on to 30, 45, 60. Now you might have a simple question here. Why are we starting these numbers with 10 or 100 instead of 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5? Okay, most ERPs will have a facility where number ranges can be inserted in between line items, meaning if you have something similar to 10, 20, 30 line items, and then later the customer calls and says, you know what, I want 10, along with 10 I want some other material. You can put it as 40 here, or you can put it as 15, which naturally goes and sits here. Okay, if you want, we can see that with an example. Okay, now if I say M03 and then instead of 300 or hitting enter, if I enter 150 or any number between 100 and 200, look at what happens. See, M03 has moved up, isn't it? This is what I was meaning when I said numbers in the line items always have gaps. Like in this case, we are starting with 100, 200, 300, and if I just enter M04 here, it will automatically say 300. But if I say M04 170, this will go and sit in between 150 and 200. So that's a way of inserting line items in between a whole bunch of line items. Alright, that is item number increment. So I'm going to leave sub item increment, and when we come to bill of materials, I'm going to discuss that. The next is reference mandatory. We are moving on from number ranges and into general control. Reference mandatory has a couple of options here. Let's pick up B, which is with reference to a quotation, and then see the effect of this on your transaction. Okay. Set it to B, save it, and then let's start to create an order. ZMA, and then you see the system is actually forcing you to enter a quotation when I just pressed enter. What does this tell you? This tells you that if you set a particular document type to be always created with reference to another document type, let's say quotation, then you cannot create that document type without actually referring to that quotation. So ZMay has been configured here with option B, which says that you should mandatorily reference a quotation. And hence, when you try to create an order of type ZMay, it's forcing you to enter this quotation. So if you say no, it doesn't take you forward. See, you're not explicitly clicking on that create with reference button. It is forcing you to enter the create with reference button. To enter the quotation number. Right? So let me delete this guy. Okay, the reference mandatory, I am setting it to B, which is with reference to a quotation. But when you try to create a sales order, when you try to create ZMay sales order, SAP forces you to create it with reference to a quotation, whatever be that quotation. Right? Earlier, if you wanted to create a document, or let's say an order with reference to the quotation, you had to click on this button, right? Remember, create with reference. But that's not the case now, because we said in the configuration that we want this document type ZMay to be always created with reference to a quotation. The system is forcing us to always create with reference to that quotation. Now, what is the business scenario that this field should be used under? Let's say, for example, let me go to the next page. Let's say, for example, your company sells some servers, right? HP sells servers, right? big ones. It's like 100,000, 200,000. And when we are creating an order for a server, in the past we have always observed, let's say the power user of sales has always observed that there has been some discrepancy that the customer has asked for, and in terms of pricing and what we have placed as an order. So in order to avoid all this confusion, the sales people have decided, the sales team has decided, that whenever an order is created, approved quotation is required. When I say approved, somebody from the sales department or somebody in higher up in the sales department has to look at that quotation, approve the prices, and only then the order will be created. That way there is no way that the customer's quotation and the customer's order could be different from each other. Now in this case, our order of type order whatever will be configured in such a way that it will be set to reference mandatory of B, whereby when somebody tries to create an order of type ZXXX, it will always ask for a quotation. Alright, this is a business example where you can use that create with reference mandatory field. Okay, for now I'm going to make it no reference because we don't require it at this point, and then we're going to move on to check division. Now this is the same field that we have seen in the enterprise structure, same org element, division as in product lines. Now here is a little caveat that we have overlooked. You look at this division. So whenever we are trying to create an order, okay, let me go back because we have changed the configuration and start over again. Whenever we are creating an order, we are entering a division. What does that indicate? What does that indicate? Here again, once again, when you're trying to create an order, you're entering a division here. If you don't enter a division here, at least when you select a customer master inside, you will be forced to enter a sales org distribution channel division. Now what is the purpose behind it? Ideally, you wouldn't really want to restrict your orders to a particular division, isn't it? Example, if HP, okay, let me give you that example. If HP is selling 4 divisions, laptop, desktop, printer, and then server divisions. If HP is selling 4 divisions, and when we are creating an order using VA01, then enter OR, ZOR, whatever, and then here we have sales org, distribution channel, division. What does this field really say? Are we restricting the customer to enter products only from one division? Not necessarily. If you want to look at an example, let's say the division that we have chosen in this case is ZMA, and then sales org distribution channel division is 00 in this case. Okay, so in this case the division is 00. Now let's go inside and try to create an order with different line items belonging to different divisions. Let's say M02. Okay, just put your cursor on that and then hit F8. It will take you to the material master. What is the division here? 07, right? So M02 belongs to the material 07, division 07, and still you are able to place an order even though you are saying initially that your division in the sales document type should be 00. That doesn't mean, let's say if this is 00, then this is 01, and then this is 10, this is XX. That does not mean that the customer should only order divisions from laptop or printer or scanner. The customer is free to choose whatever divisions he likes. Okay, so here is the deviation. This is the division in the header, and this is the division in the line item. Here is a deviation. Normally, by default, this deviation is tolerated because we really want the customer to place orders from any product line. No problem. Sometimes, however, we want to check the division and ensure, let's say I set it to error. Okay, I set it to error. And now I go back and try and create this order. VA01. Now remember the header division is 00. Now I'm trying to create a division at the line item level, for example M02, which belongs to a different division. And you look at the message at the bottom. It says, what does it say? It says division 00 deviates from the line items, isn't it? So division deviates from the line item. Division in the header deviates from the line item. So this has resulted in this error. Division at header is 00. Header division is 00. And item division is 07. So there is this deviation, and that's what SAP is trying to say here. It says header division 00 is deviating from item division 07. Right? That's the check division field. Moving on, let's remove that. We don't want it to get in our way. Now, credit limit, credit group, we're going to discuss when we talk about credit management. Item division, not very important. Read info record, it is important, but we are going to talk about that at a later point. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to highlight some of the fields and then let you know that these are important, but we are not going to discuss at this point because we have not really gone through some of the concepts that are really necessary in order for us to understand these things. Okay, so these two fields, learn in credit management, it's a totally different topic, and we will talk about that when we'll talk about these two fields when we get to credit management. Now, output application, we will see in output determination. Again, another topic that we don't care about at this point. Don't rush into it. We got time. Info record, we will see after we learn about CMIR or customer material info record, which is another topic that we will discuss another day. Alright, so these three fields are important, these four fields, but we are not going to talk about it now. Okay, next, check purchase order number. What does this field do? Check purchase order number. If you check this on, then the system is going to validate. Let's say I check this on, sorry, not this one, this one. Okay, the system is going to validate whether there is a duplicate PO that has been assigned, that has been created already for that particular customer. Let me talk about that with an example here. Okay, let's say for example customer A places, like Walmart example, if you remember, Walmart customer A places a purchase order of, let's say, PO number 12345, and in VA01 HP receives that PO and creates an order number 32146, and in the PO number field the system already assigns the purchase order number to the sales order number. So this is SO number, this is PO number. Now tomorrow if Walmart releases another PO of the same number, should we receive it and create an order, or should we call up Walmart and say, hey, you know what, you're trying to duplicate a PO number here, are you really sure these are two separate POs? Sometimes they could be right. It is possible when the customer is placing another order with the same PO number. An example of that kind of a scenario is called blanket order, where there will be one PO number against which there will be multiple purchase orders issued, and we would have to create multiple sales orders with the same PO number. Now if you do not want that to happen, or if that is not the case really, then you would probably want the system to issue an error and say, hey, duplicate PO on the day before order number 32145 has already been created with the same PO number. Do you want to really create another one with the same PO number? Right? And in order to enable that option, set this to A. Okay, set this to A. Now again, let's go back and try and create an order of the same document type, and then for the same customer, let's first create test PO 1. Okay, this is the first order. Test PO is our PO, right? I'm going to copy it. For the customer 1000, remember, if it is a different customer, the PO number could be same, don't bother. But if for the same customer, if the PO is going to be same, then we have a problem. Okay, so I'm going back and starting again with the same customer, right, and try to enter a PO number here like so. You look at the message at the bottom. Purchase order number already exists in this document 13334. What it means is, in that order number 13334, you seem to have already created a PO number. Do you really want to pursue? Is that really right? Right? So this is the error message that you get, or rather warning message, when you receive duplicate POs, purchase orders. Okay, and that field called the check purchase order number could be used to identify whether this field is duplicated or not. Alright, that was that. Now enter PO number. Let's say I don't understand this field. So you think that this field might help you in configuring your scenario, but you don't really understand that field. What do you do? So you go to this help button, select your field, highlight or focus your cursor on that field like so, and then click on help button or click on F1. Now use document number to enter external PO number. So there is some help that is available here. So SAP has chosen to provide some text as the help. You can try this and make some sense out of it. If not, you might have to really try that option out in your development environment and see the effect of it. But there is some help that's available against every field if you just highlight that field and hit on F1, or just click on this question mark button in the menu bar, okay. But we don't require this, it's not a very important field, so we're gonna ignore it. Next, transaction flow section. Again, not many fields are important at this point, but let me highlight whatever is important. Quotation messages, this is important, this is important, this is important. I can say 1, 2, 3 and then 4 incompletion messages. These are important, but we are only going to talk about this field now. The rest of the fields 1, 2 and 4 for later, okay. Because in order to understand 4 incompletion messages, we have got to talk about incompletion log. In order to talk about 1 document pricing procedure, we need to understand pricing. In order to understand 2 status profile, we need to understand what is a status profile and how to assign a status profile, how to set the different statuses, so on and so forth, which are separate topics in its own realm, and then they require an hour of extensive study. So we're going to revisit those fields when we come back and discuss those separate topics. But as of now, this is a very simple field, quotation messages. Now what are the options that are available there? These are the options. You see, right now it is set to B, but these are your options. What are the options here? Okay, these are your options, and in this case it is set to B, which means check at item level. Okay, this is very simple. I'm going to illustrate it with an example. Alright, so it is set to B. Alright, we are happy there. So let's start to create an order first, a quotation first. Okay, let's say QT, and then use the customer 1000, set a start and end date, because we know that for a quotation a start and end date is mandatory. So I have put a 1 week as the start and end date, and I enter some materials and quantities. Okay, so PO 123, if you like to put a PO number there, but that's fine. And now save it. So you remember, for customer 1000, for material M01, there is a quotation, and that quotation number is quotation 200040. Okay, so there is an existing quotation for customer 1000 for material M01. Okay. Now let's try and create an order here by going to VA01, ZMA, and hit enter for the same customer. Okay, you hit enter, you don't get any message there. Now try M01 and then hit enter. Okay, okay, what is your check at item level? Okay, ideally when we create the quotation with reference to. Okay, moving on. We have shipping section, and in the shipping section we will discuss delivery type, delivery block, shipping conditions, and immediate delivery. Go there, and go here. There we go. And the important fields are 1, 2,